Information security, everyone's job, every day. Chapter 22, presentation done by Tony Daly, Jay Johnson, Cassie Jones, and Brianna Montes. Today, what we will be talking about is how to use preventative security controls, integrating security throughout our code. We'll go over an example of a data breach, and also how to implement security into production telemetry. So first, integrating preventative security controls into our shared source code and repositories and shared services. Our goal is to integrate preventative security controls into shared source code repositories and shared services. Why do we need to be secure? Well, has your credit card or bank ever been compromised? It's not a good feeling. We've got to make sure sensitive information is secure and available to make secure through everyone using shared source code repositories and shared services. We can add what are called libraries that are basically pre-blessed by security to fulfill specific InfoSec objectives, such as authentication and encryption libraries and services. This makes it much easier to influence the daily work of dev and ops because anything we create is available, searchable, and reusable. When engineers use one of these predefined libraries or services, they won't need to schedule a separate security design review for that module. This saves a lot of time and money. By putting these libraries into our shared source code repositories, we make it easy for any engineer to correctly create and use logging and encryption standards for their applications and environments with no further work required. A deployment pipeline is an automated process in which our code or software is transferred from version control or source control into production. We monitor version control because it is the active changes that take place in our software. Just as we need security wrapped around our repositories or shared sources, we also need them on our changes implemented into the system. Many hacking groups have been known to access repositories, then implement new lines of code that give them access to the systems.
At this point, we will point out some examples of security breaches and some steps on how to fix these breaches. And here was found an article for this year about the top 10 biggest reported healthcare data breaches. And these are examples of how important it is to incorporate security into our daily work. Even if we're not directly working with the systems in healthcare or whatever other business, we might be working directly with the programs that these businesses and organizations use. So it's vitally important to remember that we want to integrate security into our deployment pipelines, our applications, and ultimately in our daily work. This article, it goes over some of the major healthcare organizations, 10 of them that had the biggest breaches across the U.S. for 2000 that were reported in 2021, and these affected not only millions and millions of patients and customers, but it also affected the healthcare organizations. So while data breaches occur across social media, across different businesses, ultimately, when we get down to some of the more vital services like healthcare and like emergency services, we do want to make sure we practice daily and keep in mind daily how we can integrate security into the software and the web pages and the systems that we work with. And so that's what this article goes through, is some of these healthcare organizations that were hit the worst. And the second article is actually something that we're pretty familiar with, and we kind of hear these words every day, of how boosting cybersecurity can help prevent data breaches. We know the terms and we understand the terms like data encryption, hardware security, using stronger passwords and virus protections on our computers, doing regular backups, and diligently monitoring our logging systems, and just overall just training the staff of the organizations that we work with. These are things that we hear all the time, but in other organizations or other businesses, they're not as focused on these individual items, and that's part of what we do and what our job is, to help secure information for customers and for patients. And so in the next slide, this actually talks about integrating information security into production telemetry. And so when breaches occur when internal security controls are not being monitored correctly, or just because a lack of organization or just oversight. And a reason that this is because no one was reviewing the log files, the monitoring systems. They just kind of, these breaches occur when these simple things get overlooked. When we deploy monitoring and logging and alerting, we employ these things so that we can fulfill security objectives throughout our applications and our environments. And integrating our security telemetry, integrating security into telemetry, into these same tools, this gives everyone in the value stream visibility into how our applications and environments are performing. And when we want to detect, or when we try to detect problematic user behavior, we successfully and we monitor successful and unsuccessful user logins. We use user password resets, user email address resets, and user credit card changes to detect problematic behavior. So we want to make sure that we daily integrate security into everything that we do, whether it be through our shared source code repositories, our shared services, or even just within our deployment pipelines, or in the applications that we handle. And especially with our production telemetry, we want to keep an eye on these monitoring programs that we have. So ultimately, we don't have these data breaches, whether we work in a small company or in the healthcare field. So by doing this, we can help make not only our lives easier, but the lives of our customers and our employees. So thank you for watching our presentation.